Hello everybody, I'll give a few minutes to let people log on. We're going to go through the graph that I've plotted. 4 years of work on economics, about 8 months in world constitutionalism, and of course 4 years of world and governance. It'll be a first ever, it hasn't been done yet, and let alone done together. So I'm really excited to get that out. I'm going to turn this off. For some reason my speaker's going mad, so obviously my computer's going through. Can't see the screen, so I got to just give it that few minutes, and maybe I'll have a little peek and see if people are logged on now. See if everybody can see me all right and can see the entirety of the graph we're going to go through. It's skewed, and I put that in there, skewed for visual presentation. Why I do that is because if I made the graph as it's supposed to be, the top portion would be skewed much larger and more narrow from the right coming in towards the left. Very narrow we're talking there. And with a factor of 30% in this bottom margin that I'll go through what these circles represent, and then this weird stuff, and then these lines. We're going to go through the horizontals. We're going to go through this portion here too. We're going to explain left and right. We're going to explain autocracy. And we're going to explain libertarianism down at the bottom. But I'm just going to take a little peek, make sure the video is running, because I don't want to have to do this again, and make sure people are on. Hi everybody. Everybody says everything's good. I see Mark. Could you guys clearly see my face, or have I cut myself out of the window? Can somebody answer that for me? Watching. So Barry, can you guys clearly see my face when I sit down, or am I out of the graph? Somebody let me know right now. When I was sitting down, was I in the graph? Everybody's just hoping someone will say something. You guys are all shy now all of a sudden. Hey Mark, could you see me in the graph? There. Looks good. Okay. Thanks, Buster. Okay, we're going to go through this now. Okay, hello everybody. I'm just going to run through it again because I'm not sure what might have been logged on or not, but we got 2016 to 2020, and when I say that, that's December 31st, 2020. We just went through it, our new year. This is 4 years of work building this. It's more of a picture format for all you guys. If I had logged the actual graph, which I say is skewed for visual presentation, like I said, the top portion would be much larger. This bottom portion would be compressed down, as well as it would go much farther to the left. These broken lines here, and right here, broken and broken, that's all brand new. That has never been experienced. If I drew a circle here, that has, outside of that, has never been experienced until this year during COVID. The rest of this graph in the darker regions and colors, and anything outside the broken, left or right, up or down, has absolutely never, ever been experienced worldwide. So we're going to go into the first part, is the world economic portion. And what we have here is everything from pink, darker pink, to dark red is absolute public, corporate, and I'm going to wiggle the mouse. This is all public, corporate, and personal debt all combined. It's also skewed, but it's the massive population. Most people in this world, the over 7 billion people, are all falling into here. All in this region of debt. Okay, most people, the 90% are right here. We come up, we get into, also on the left side, we get into some green zone here. Even on that left side, socialism, this is wealth. This is money. About 70% of the class of people who hold wealth are actually on the socialism side. This gets into a lot of public sector companies. When we go over to the right, only a 30% in a small region is actually private sector. You get into different people who've ascended to that. And it's only in one first circle, very limited in the second circle as the years go by. And then we got this bigger, weird looking one here is what we get into just over the last year and a half. And then into COVID, we get into this big region that absolutely shoots wealth into the hands of a very few. I've skewed the graph. They're on the right side, these globalist players. Unfortunately, if I was to show you just how few people, and we get into percentages from this point of the graph and the broken line, again, never experienced worldwide ever in our history. This line where it starts to break is in this last year and just a little bit of the year before. And we get into all of a sudden a very, very small amount of the entire population goes into there, all less than 1%. 1% has a tremendous amount of wealth generated by the absolute debt of a mass amount of the population. This is absolutely worldwide. That wealth pushing everybody into the left spectrum, all those subjected to extreme socialism are paying into a very select few on the autocratic side of globalism. Now there's also the autocratic side of socialism, the up and down scale of those who like to have individual freedoms, your property rights, all of them are right there. And all those people are subjected to all the debt, while those who embrace the socialism of autocracy, you get into your police, enforcement of the rules and laws that work for government, all your government employees. A lot of the businesses absolutely attached and sponsored by the socialist side of autocracy, meaning the government absolute. And then you get into the globalist side, which is on the right side. That's when you get into governments who sponsor these guys, who absolutely get that giant portion of debt accumulated by that group, which is most of the people in the world, pay it over to these guys. Borrowed money going into the wealth of a very, very small few. 1%, 0.01%, 0.001%, and on and on. Now, not all of these players are taking from that group. Some are generating their wealth from this small box of actual primary sector, okay? So not everybody is absolutely about the autocracy of globalism. However, they are playing into it. When we get into, so that's the economics, and I touched a little bit, we get into world constitutionalism. Now, all these circles, you see the first little light circle here, this is our 2016. You see a little small section of the wealthy 0.1%, a small portion of the 0.01%, the 0.1%, and of course the 1%, and then you get into the primary sector, which is 30% of the wealth, and then over here you get into that 70% of the socialist side, the governmental wealth. And then of course you have all the people in debt here. That was the first year, so you knew that it was 50-50. Half the people have some kind of wealth, the other half absolutely have none. And that's an average of the world, okay? People absolutely enslaved and in debt, most of the world in that first one. Everyone kind of knows that world. Then we get into the second bar as years go on. All of a sudden, you're getting into territory still within the realm of world. We've seen in World War II major conflicts. However, we didn't have a World War III. We have some global problems, but we start to get into all of a sudden things are getting skewed. Tax cuts, tax generation, more socialist players. When we look at this, we're getting into our civil law socialists, and we're seeing a great, tremendous, see how small the graph is here. All of a sudden, yeah, there's a portion, but see the big whites in there? There's some of the wealth from the socialism. Very little bit, only 30% generally is coming from the primary, and a mass amount of people are stuck in absolute poverty and debt, paying to generate and transfer that to that elite class. As we get into the year after, leading up to COVID, this weird line, I couldn't even generate it to skew this graph. It wouldn't generate, so we got cuts. We got cuts there, but basically it looks like a teardrop, and you get into all of a sudden, for the first time ever, we just start to exceed that wealthy, billionaires. Billionaires start popping up in the last 2 years at an incredible exponential rate, and we watch massive debt accumulation to the vast majority of the population at a rate never seen in this world ever. And as we get into COVID year, it just shoots right up and very narrow. The amount of billionaires grows to an incredible size, and absolutely how much wealth and property, land, and everything they actually own. And then you see the vast amount of the population down here slaved into debt, the likes of which they've never seen before. An absolute borrowing for the average human being on this earth will be enslaved for their children's future. It's there. We talk about which constitutional organizations are in here. We can plot everybody. Like a country like USA, where they fall in these circles, where the socialists fall in every country. I can tell you right now, Canada is right here. This is where we're heading under Chrystia Freeland, Justin Trudeau, absolutely with Aaron O'Toole and CPC and Jagmeet Singh and his NDP. Absolutely, in the dark blue lines here, this is where Canada's gone. Just like that, snap of a finger, that's the plan for the next 3 years. And that's absolutely Canadians' debt. And that is in a constitutional monarchy that supposedly has rights and freedoms. However, all those who fall down here or in this range that absolutely embrace freedoms are being pushed into the socialism side by autocrats, both globalist and socialist, but are putting all of you who love your rights and freedoms, your property rights, it's down here. So while you may have all that stuff, it's all indebted, meaning you don't really own any of it at all. And you're only subject to certain civil rights if you have money to feed this bar up here. That's what Canada's become. It's what USA, right now, they just lost Donald Trump. He was in this second circle here. UK, right in that circle there. Canada, all in this circle here. Very few wealthy. Canada has been producing the wealthiest of the wealthy at a much larger rate because they've been ahead of everybody by about 5 years. So when you start looking at the world, you can plot everybody. You can find your autocrats. You can find your socialists in here. The autocracy of socialism. You'll find your public sector in here. It's awful. And they haven't moved. See, the way they're moving this system, it's all of the many of you down here. Some of you are surviving, you're holding on, but you're all struggling to make the bills. Corporations that weren't lucky enough to fall into this little 30% bar are often in here if they haven't gone bankrupt already. And over time you're going to see, and this is what they're doing. This is absolutely 100% legit. It's plotted worldwide, and you can put every government, all the constitutionalists in each and every quadrant in any given time frame over these 4 years. And that's absolutely each and every year changing when you average out the entire world. And everybody falls in different places according to left ideologies, right ideologies. And what's almost always ignored is how much of the rights and freedoms coming from constitutionalism here versus your autocracies, your absolute. And then there's where you find all the wealth in there, left or right, doesn't really matter. It's all about autocracy. Globalism, socialism, it doesn't really matter. But we're really seeing in a very narrow margin to that right side where literally only 1% fall into. Very few, depending on which country you're in, under what kind of constitution and what kind of governance. You see the left and right. Like, for example, UCP, sure, they fall over here, but look at their circle. Look at their circle. And as they go with more globalism, they go up this scale, they push more and more of you into here. So see how it didn't really matter? I couldn't even make a circle because it's such a teardrop. It won't even come out when you try to run the program and shrink everything in. If I did it the way it's supposed to be, this line would be up here and all of you would be way over here. And just a narrow, skinny margin of wealthy and a few socialists, and then a big fat bar of everybody else. who falls under here being pushed into socialism. You all who want your rights and freedoms are pushed into the socialism at a great expense for your freedoms, to give to the autocrats of globalism and socialism. Feed it. That's reality. Every circle over the 4 years just gets skewed further and further and further. This is absolute reality. The data plots, all of my references, where I get the data, is all in many, many more slides. If I tried to go through that with all of you tonight, I'm going to lose a lot of followers. A lot of people are going to go right over their head. I think that this, even though it's skewed, this is the real data. It's just a skewed graph to give you the best visual representation I can. Like, obviously, from 1% to 0.01% doesn't match that. But if I didn't show you the change in absolute debt, in representation, you wouldn't understand, and how it relates to how much wealth in debt these people are transferring to them, enslaving you, your children, your children's 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 future. And the further we go down here, that's all the people who want rights and freedoms. Those who take autocracy could find themselves here, but they must embrace full autocracy. Whether that's socialism, you stay in that little window, or full globalism, where you may get into that window, but you're going to have to eat a lot of people, throw a lot of people you love under the bus. That's reality. This is my presentation in great detail with all the data. It's going to Bloomberg, WTO, many other groups. The constitutional group I'm in right now that I'm working towards, world legal experts who are masters in constitutionalism. I'm going to send it to a lot of UN member states, showing all this and the data, of course with Alberta's publication. But what's nice is it's 2016 to the end of 2020. Nobody's done it, let alone plot all these graphs in real data, real understanding for everybody. I think I'm about the first, and my hope here is somehow I can take the world's best legal minds, masters and professors and doctorates, take them with the masters of the mathematics and the engineering of world financial systems. I can group them together, and with those two, we can hit the world governance and we can change. And I hope they'll have the courage after I put myself forward, and I hope that it gives them some courage, because I'll tell you what, right now, I have been moving some economists that traditionally wouldn't be moved, and I'm also, I'm hoping that I'm infecting a lot of constitutional professors, and I hope my work will reach many. And if we can get that set of academia, like I said, we can absolutely work on world governance. And maybe it does just take an average Joe getting into this world right here to absolutely move that one. That's what I'm hoping for. So thanks everybody for your time. This was a tremendous amount of work. Like I said, the data's there, and I'm going to get it out on that world stage in world economics and world constitutionalists, the best of the best. And I'm just going to grow each and every day, week after week. And after this massive, intense week, literally from my time, 3 a.m. to 7 p.m., it's crazy. But I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for 3 days, Monday to Wednesday, and then it looks like what would be classified as one of their half days in this thing, which would be probably about 3 a.m. to, I think, 11 a.m., which is still a healthy day anyway. But that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to get out to as many as I can in the real data. And of course, all of it opened up like an open book for Bloomberg and WTO. And I hope it hits a lot. I hope it hits a lot of the best. And I hope they give me a chance. And I hope they use it. I hope they use the data. And I hope it furthers them on. And I want them to scrutinize it. I want them to hit it hard. And let's hope for the best. You can't change the world unless you absolutely stand on that stage and make an effort to try. That's all I can do, and that's all I'm doing for my Alberta. And hopefully that infects the world to say, hey, wait a minute, there is validity in all this stuff. And this is absolutely, maybe it just takes one person putting their neck out there, and then everybody else will find the courage, the best of the best. Thanks now, everybody. Enjoy your night, enjoy your week, and we'll be in touch soon. Bye now.